The seventh graders, happy Friday. You have now almost made it through an entire week of distance learning. Give yourself a little round of applause. Yeah, a little round of applause. I am treating myself, because this is my first full week of distance teaching, to a very large cup of coffee this morning. Fun fact, this mug holds an entire pot of French press coffee. So, my teacher heart is happy. Today we're going to talk about minor characters and missing perspectives in our story. We're going to look back at Patrol a little bit. As always, you'll have a journal prompt. You should continue reading and then Flipgrid conferences if you're on the schedule for Fridays. Make sure you do that. I will respond by Monday. If you were on the schedule for yesterday, make sure you're taking a look at my response to you. Random tidbit, camels have 3 eyelids to protect their eyes from blowing sand. Can't imagine how that works. I don't know. All right, so today we're talking about attending to minor characters and missing perspectives. And so what we're really trying to do is gain a better understanding of what's going on in our story through minor characters, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to do that. So your learning target is that authors create minor characters to reinforce the message or main idea of the story. Your success criteria is that you can identify important minor characters and you can explain how those characters help shape the reader's perspective. All right, so take a look at this photograph for a minute. If the people in this photograph could talk to you right now, what do you think they would say? Your first instinct is probably to look at the woman in the middle, right? And it's pretty clear that she is scared or terrified of whatever is happening in this photo. It's easier for us to look at her perspective, just like we would with a main character in a story, because she's kind of the one in the middle of all the action. So just like you would with the main character in a story, you get more information about them. But what we want to consider today is the minor character's perspective. So if we look at the little boy to the left, what might he be thinking? Is he sad? Is he resigned? Is he scared? What might he be thinking? And that's what we're going to pay attention to today, is paying attention to the minor characters' perspectives in our stories. So today I want to teach you that minor characters are in a story for a reason. They, like the main character, help to carry the big messages or big ideas of the story. One way to improve your interpretation, your understanding of a story, is to reread, try to focus and understand the point of view of the main character, and then the minor character as well, and then revise your interpretation to include what you've learned from the minor character. We're going to look at a few sections from Patrol where there are some minor characters. Obviously, the main character of the Patrol book is the soldier that we've been reading about. But today we're going to focus in on some minor characters that you might have even just kind of skipped past as we read through it the first time. So as we go through these, I want you to ask, what can you learn about a story when you're considering the perspective of these minor characters? So the first minor character we're going to focus on is the sergeant. And he says, "Secure the village," a sergeant calls. He points toward the enemy. So if we're talking about the sergeant and then they have to go do something to the enemy, what is his perspective? What do you think he might be thinking? I think that the sergeant is probably thinking, I'm responsible for all these guys, all these soldiers who are about to go attack the enemy. The enemy is going to want to attack back. And so in his head, he might be scared. He might be worried. He might feel really confident in his troops that he has with him. We don't know. But we want to sit and consider that perspective for a minute. What do you think the soldier is thinking? And then what do you think the sergeant is thinking? Because that'll help us better understand even our main characters. Okay? The next one I want to focus on is the enemy. So it says, "The enemy, a brown woman with rivers of age etched deeply into her face. An old man, his eyes heavy with memory, and babies. Little enemies crying on the mud roads. Little enemies with tears running down dusty cheeks." What might these enemies be feeling at this point? What might their perspective be? My guess, again, is that they are completely terrified. If there's an older woman, an older man, and then babies, and all of these people are storming into their village with guns pointed and I'm assuming it's probably kind of loud and causing a ruckus. That would be pretty terrifying. So again, consider what the perspective of these people might be. This is the part of the story where they're kind of crawling through the elephant grass, and he comes across an enemy soldier, and he's waiting for the enemy soldier to put his gun up first because he doesn't want to shoot him. So it says, a shot, I reach for the ground and scramble for cover. The elephant grass cuts my arms as I slide toward a low wall. Then there's an opening in the tall grass, and I look through. There's the enemy. He's looking at me. We're surprised to see each other. Shocked. How young he is. So again, what might the enemy be thinking? The enemy is the minor character here. What might he be thinking as he sees this other young man pointing a gun at him, crawling towards him, obviously fighting against him? What might his thought process be? Take a minute to just think about that. Okay, so he's also probably terrified, right? If neither of them are pointing a gun at each other right away, they probably don't really want to. And can you imagine like crawling through tall grass to basically bump heads with someone else, and you both have guns and you know you're supposed to shoot each other, but you don't really want to? So again, he's probably terrified. Take some time to consider the perspective of that minor character. Same character, we stare across the distance. I know he wants me to lift my rifle to be the enemy. I want him to lift his rifle. I want him to turn away. In a heartbeat, we have learned too much about each other. Okay, so what might these characters be thinking? In my book, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, I've been reading about some minor characters and thinking about their perspectives as well. So the first one we have is Marya, who's Bruno's maid. And I think she wanted to tell Bruno the truth about his father and why they had to move. She doesn't like the Nazis or Hitler. She's disappointed in the choices that Bruno's father has made in the present. And then I have some text evidence to support that. Pavel is the family waiter, and he's the one who peels all the veggies. And he says, "You're not a doctor." Pavel stopped peeling the carrots for a moment and looked across the table at Bruno, his head held low, his eyes looking up, as if he were wondering what to say to such a thing. He's kind of surprised and hesitant to reply, sorry. And I wonder if he's actually a doctor before this time, because he seems to know quite a bit. So, paying attention to your minor characters will help you better understand the story. Today I want you to complete your 5th journal entry for your historical fiction journal. Just as kind of a disclaimer, you should be keeping all of your journal entries in one Google Doc and then sharing that Google Doc with me. So don't create a new Google Doc for every journal entry. Just create one Google Doc that you'll keep until we're back. And then just keep it ongoing. Just add to it every day. So complete your 5th journal entry. Think about how minor characters' perspectives adds to our understanding of the story. Your journal prompt is to pick a minor character from your story and just write down a few sentences about how they might be feeling. If you can give some text evidence by quoting directly from the audiobook, or if you have the physical book, quoting directly from the book, that would be fabulous. If not, it's not a big deal. But that would be great evidence as well, since that is also a focus for this unit. So pick a minor character, how might they be feeling, and just jot down a few sentences about that. Again, make sure you're watching out for those Flipgrid conferences, that you are doing your journal prompt and listening to a bit of your book today. 7th graders, you are rocking distance learning, and I'm so proud of all the work you put in. Keep it up. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me at any time. I will respond to you as soon as I can, or hop on office hours from 11 to 11:30. But you're killing it. I'm super proud of you. I miss you all, and if I don't see you during office hours, have a fantastic weekend.